Can your Social Security check be taken by bill collectors? That's a great question and exactly what I want to focus on for you right here in the video, because the answer is yes and no at the same time. I have all the details and clarification right here in the video. Let's get right into it. I know in this video I do want to focus on Social Security checks and can they be taken by bill collectors? Like I said a few seconds ago, yes they can in some instances and no they cannot in other instances. So I do want to break down the details of how much can they take, what type of bill collectors can actually get to your Social Security benefits, and the other type of benefit administered by the Social Security Administration, which cannot be touched at all by any type of debt collection. We've got a lot to talk about here in the video. Let's get right into it. Really fast before we do, thanks for joining me. If you have not done so yet, make sure to do yourself a huge favor. Hit that subscribe button right down below the video. It is totally free to do so, and I'm here for you right by your side every single day, watching the latest details hitting the wire, all the new information coming out, focused on the low income and fixed income, advocating on your behalf, and again, answering very important questions just like this that we're talking about right here in this video. There's a lot going on right now, and there are tens of millions of fixed income beneficiaries who need to know this information, because if all of a sudden your benefits start disappearing, you might need to know why. Well, again, we're going to clarify that right here in the video. So again, thanks for joining me. Please subscribe down below if you haven't done so, and let's get into it and talk about pesky debt collectors, the annoying people calling you, sending you letters, all kinds of stuff like this, trying to get some money out of you. They're annoying, I know, right? They're like mosquitoes on like a nice summer evening, right? You're trying to enjoy some time outside and you just have all these bugs buzzing around you constantly. You just want to swat them away all the time, right? It's kind of the same thing with debt collectors, right? So anyway, let's get into it and talk about the different details here. So now, again, I know it can be a little bit confusing. Yes and no, like what's this dude talking about, right? Well, let me clarify really quickly, okay? So what type of benefits, first off, are eligible to be garnished as a result of debt collection? Basically, any benefits including, but not limited to, Social Security retirement, disability, SSDI, survivors, spousal benefits. These types of benefits are subject to garnishment to some degree from some types of debt collectors. Again, more on that in just a second. I'll clarify who can get some of this benefit and how much can they take at any given time. Now, what type of benefit cannot be garnished whatsoever by any type of debt collection, even the federal government? Guess what? SSI, Supplemental Security Income. In fact, I have a dedicated video here on the channel talking about this. No, SSI checks cannot be garnished whatsoever from anybody. SSI checks cannot be touched. Not bad, right? So if you're an SSI, Supplemental Security Income beneficiary, your benefits cannot be garnished. And again, I have a dedicated video here on the channel talking about all the details of that, because that's another good one as well, okay? All right, so anyway, now let's talk about all the other millions of beneficiaries who fall under retirement, SSDI, survivors, spousal, and the list goes on of all of these other benefits administered by Social Security and how much they can possibly take at any given time and who can get some of your benefit. All right, so number one, it's a small list here. It's honestly not that big of a list, but these are very important aspects you need to understand. All right, so number one, the federal government. Yeah, the federal government can come in and they can take some of your Social Security benefit if you have back taxes owed to the IRS, okay? Now here's the thing. If you owe the IRS, say, $1,000 in back taxes and you owe it, say, in 6 months from right now, they're not going to come in and take your benefit. This is if you owe back taxes that you have not been paying for years or a significant amount of time. Then they will start garnishing your money, okay? But again, I just want to make it very clear. They'll make it very clear that, hey, you owe some back taxes and you need to pay this, okay? So again, I'm not saying this is everybody's situation, but I'm just saying they're not just going to randomly take your benefit without you knowing about it. You'll probably know, like, hey, I owe some back taxes here, and they're going to start garnishing my benefit, okay? But here's the thing. They can garnish up to 15% of your Social Security check. No more, okay? So they're going to keep garnishing until all of those back taxes are paid. It could take a few months, it could take a couple years, it could take a very long time, but they can garnish up to 15%, no more than that, the federal government, to pay back taxes, okay? So that is number one. Now next, child support. Yes, child support can also garnish Social Security checks. Now here's the rough part. They can garnish up to 50% of your Social Security check for back child support payments, okay? So that's a rough one. And again, there are other categories there. They can even garnish up to 65% in some instances, okay? But this is another one out there that I want to bring to your attention. Child support, yeah, that's a rough one right there, okay? So yes, they can also take some of your benefit. All right, now next, restitution and alimony. Yes, they can also garnish some of your Social Security benefit, okay? Now, take this into consideration. And again, they're not just going to come after you day one. All of a sudden, if you have some back money that is due, it's not going to be like day one. All of a sudden, they start taking your money, okay? But they will make it very clear. They should have you communication to you. They should send you a letter. There should probably be multiple different types of communication going out to you through letters and things like this saying, hey, you haven't paid us and we have all this money that we need to get back from you. We're going to start garnishing on X date, okay? So you should be very aware of this type of stuff. So just want to point this out for you really quickly. Next, student loans. Yeah, federal student loans. They can also garnish your Social Security checks, okay? And remember, federal student loans, it's kind of a rough one. This is one of those types of debts that does not go away in bankruptcy. And it's one of those things that's also being forgiven right now for a lot of people. So it's kind of like one of those tough situations. Some people might think, hey, I don't want to pay my federal student loans. Why would I right now when so many of them are being forgiven and just wiped off the board like, eraser coming in, just wiping everything out, right? So just take this into consideration. This is something that could potentially garnish your Social Security checks as well. Now, who cannot take your Social Security checks? Credit cards, auto loans, medical debts, those three, and again, the list is much longer than that, but those are some of the very common ones. Those cannot take your Social Security checks whatsoever, okay? Now again, I want to point something else out. They could have a judgment against you if you do owe this debt to them, but even though there's a judgment, they can't come in and take your Social Security check. They cannot do that. Now, if you receive Social Security benefits as direct deposit or onto, direct deposit into a bank account or onto a Direct Express card, then these benefits are kind of protected, okay? There's actually something called Federal Automatic Protection Rule. Look it up. You could read about that. But basically what it does is it protects these benefits. Now, in some instances where they can garnish your benefits, a lot of times they can only garnish up to the amount that leaves you up to 2 months worth in your bank account, okay? So they need to leave you at least 2 months worth of your checks in your bank account, which is interesting because I guess my question would be, if I don't have 2 months worth of my checks in my account, can they still take it, right? So if you run a balance in your account less than 2 months worth of your checks, I don't know, can they still take it, right? That is a question that I honestly don't know the answer to right now. I would need to dig into this a little bit further, but that's something I would want to know is if they need to leave me at least 2 months worth in my account, can they take it if I have less than that? You get what I'm saying, right? So if you have $1,000 a month for easy math purposes here, if you receive $1,000 a month and you have, say, $1,800, as in 2 months worth would be $2,000, if you have $1,800 sitting in your account, they technically can't take it, right? Because you'd be left with less than 2 months worth in your account. Kind of get what I'm saying? So anyway, interesting little strategy there, but just saying, right? I'm not saying that we should run our accounts down to zero, but you kind of get what I'm saying behind all this, right? So anyway, these are the different institutions out there, the different federal agencies, things like this that can garnish some of your benefits, and the other ones that are out there that cannot. Even though, again, I want to make this very clear, just because they cannot garnish your benefit, as in credit card payments, medical debts, auto loans, things like this, just remember, just because they can't come in and garnish your Social Security benefit, they can still have a judgment against you. And remember this much as well, they could put a lien on some of your property, or they could repossess things like your car, right? They could still repossess your car. That has nothing to do with garnishing your benefits. So just remember, if you walk outside one day and your car's gone, you think, hey, what happened to my car? They can still repossess it, right? So that would be an unpleasant experience right there. And they could also put a lien. So let's just say that you own a home, okay? They could still put a lien on your property and say, hey, you can't sell this property, you can't refinance this property, you can't do a lot of things if there's a lien on that property until you satisfy the lien, okay? So just remember, all of this stuff they can still do, even though it may not garnish your Social Security benefit. Kind of see what I'm saying here? So take all that in consideration. Either way, I know this does not affect everybody, but it is a very common question. And again, one of those that we all want to know, because at the end of the day, most people receiving Social Security benefits rely on the vast majority of their Social Security benefit for their monthly income. So if they can take it or if they cannot take it, we still want to know about that, right? So anyway, hope this one helps you. As always, leave your comments, your questions, your feedback down below. Go back and check out any of the other thousands and thousands of videos here on the channel, or those that I have linked down below in the description. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, share the video with your friends, family, social media, and enjoy your day. that's about it. Take care, and catch you again later in the next video. And I hope this one helps you to better understand the situation of debt collectors and bill collectors trying to get some of your checks. All right, enjoy, take care, and catch you again later.